everyone, and welcome back to my channel, Dark and Creepy. All stories are written and narrated by me, MC Allen. There was this one time that I went to a small movie theater with my girlfriend, who I'll call Lily. It was later in the night, and the movie we were watching had already been out for a while, so there weren't that many people there. I don't even remember which movie we watched that night due to everything that took place. After we bought our popcorn and soda from the snack bar, we headed into the movie theater. There was an elderly couple sitting mid-distance to the screen, and a hooded man who sat on the very front row. So we chose to sit towards the back of the room. Anyway, we were watching the previews and joking with each other quietly, when something slammed against the floor. Startled, we look at the front to see that the hooded man had taken his drink and chucked it as hard as he could against the ground, that it splashed onto the bottom of the movie screen. It was so random, and we wondered why he had done that, but he then sat perfectly still, as if nothing had happened. The elderly couple stood up and moved a few rows back to get farther away from the man. Nothing else strange happened until 10 minutes into the movie, when the man started mumbling to himself, loud enough that we could hear it in the back. It was quite distracting, and the old man stood up and walked over to tell him to be quiet. We tried to pay attention to the movie, but were interested in seeing how everything would play out. As soon as the elderly man walked up to the hooded figure, we could hear the man growling, as if he was some kind of animal. The old man kept trying to tell him to shut up, but that only made his growling get worse. So the old man walked back to his seat and was having none of it, so he and his wife left the movie theater. Now after this happened, my girlfriend and I were wondering if there was something wrong with the guy. The hooded figure went back to mumbling, which is terribly annoying when we were trying to watch the movie. A few minutes later, Lily told me that she had to use the restroom and would be back soon. Scared to be in the movie theater alone with the man, I said jokingly, "Hurry back, 'cause I don't want to get murdered here alone." She left me with a smile as she walked out of the room. The figure turned his head and watched her leave. Interested in the movie again, I'm not paying any attention to the man. But when I looked back to where he was, I noticed that he had moved 2 rows closer to where I was. A little weirded out, but not too scared because I was a pretty built guy, and I knew that I could take him if I really needed to. That's when I see the man reach both of his hands into the air, and he started to wiggle his fingers. On closer inspection, I noticed that the man's fingers weren't right looking. They were shorter stubs, and when the screen brightened, I could see blood dripping from the exposed bones. Mentally freaking out now, I watched the man duck down out of sight. Randomly, I could hear laughing that seemed to drown out the movie. Not knowing exactly what to do, I just sat there, hoping that I wouldn't have to deal with that man trying to attack me. That's when I saw him, sitting in the same row as me, at the very edge of it. He had his hands on his face, but I couldn't tell what he was doing with them. That's when my stomach convulsed, and I threw up when I saw that he was eating his own fingers off, aggressively. He seemed to enjoy it, as he had a smile on his face, while he was peeling off the skin on his hand with his teeth. The man's eye stayed focused on me as he did it. Quivering in fear, disgusted to my very core, I stood up, looked the man in his eyes as I slowly tried to back away from him. That's when the movie turned dark, because they were in a night scene. So I darted straight for the exit. Behind me, I could hear the man crawling over the rows of seats after me. As I was going to the exit, I saw the door open, and Lily was coming back in. "Run! Get out now!" I screamed as she looked at me with questioning eyes. She tried to ask me what was wrong, and all I responded with was, "No time. Just get out." So she ran out into the hall, and the worker who checked our tickets asked us to quiet down and wondered what was wrong. I told him everything that happened, and his eyes grew wide as he called for his manager. Out in the hall, we could all now hear the man's cursed, pitched screaming coming from the theater within. They called the police and said that they could restart the movie if we wanted them to, or if we just wanted a refund, they would be fine with either one. Now Lily wanted to stay and watch the movie, but I was so stunned by everything that had happened that all I wanted to do was go home. There was no way I was going back into that theater room. We took our refund and left as fast as we could. About 2 days later, we saw an article in the newspaper titled something like, "Intoxicated man cannibalizes homeless man, and then himself." What happened is that the man was high on some hardcore drugs, so he went and robbed a homeless man and then cannibalized him. Afterward, he took the homeless man's money and went to the movie theater. I was in complete shock after reading this, because if I hadn't had Ran, that man would probably have tried to kill me. Those eyes I saw on him as he looked at me while devouring his own flesh still causes shivers of fear to run up and down my body. They weren't human, but beast-like, as if he was acting on primal instinct. I'm still haunted by what went down that night, but I'm glad I was able to escape as I did. For all I know, he could have killed me just as easily as he killed the homeless man. Next time I see someone acting strangely like that, I'm not going to hesitate in leaving the area. For all I know, I could be their next meal.